Well, hi, everybody. This is Steve Tarter, another edition of Tarter Sauce. And with me today, I'm happy to have Nicki Haschke from Peoria Players, the business administrator for 27 years.
That's right.
Doesn't seem possible you could be there that long. And you've got a long relationship, you and your mom,
I do.
with Peoria Players.
My mom's been there since 1978. So I was.
So everyone out there is watching, listening, knows you guys are in the Players.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know Nicki and Sherry in the box office.
All right.
Yep. So it was always just fun to go in there and look at the ticket rack and the old cash register they had there. And so now I get to do it for real.
Well, that's great. And speaking of cash register, it's that time to think about the shows that are ahead. This season's shows that you got the lineup announced. You got Tarzan, and what other shows are coming up for
Well,
this
Tarzan
year?
opens a week from Friday on the 6th.
And this is, we should say, the Disney Tarzan.
The Disney Tarzan,
Right.
yeah. Oh,
Okay.
fly system and everything, special effects, so that's
Oh,
going to
wow.
be really cool.
Okay.
Then we're doing $1 Million Quartet, which is about Jerry Lee Lewis, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, and Carl Perkins, the jam session from 1956.
So that'll be an oldies
Yeah,
songs.
I've had a lot of calls
yeah.
about that one especially.
Yeah, I bet that would be good.
Then we're doing Matilda the Musical, which is brand new. And then in February, we're doing Kinky Boots, the musical, which is brand new. And then Raisin in the Sun in March. And then we're bringing back Mamma Mia, our box office record-breaking show that we did 2 years ago.
So 5 out of 6 musicals.
Yes, we found that's kind of our bread and butter.
I was going to say, and is that pretty popular? I mean, the public likes music. I mean, because usually you don't get to see musicals. I mean, they make them occasionally for the theater, the movies.
Right,
But
right.
not like they used to.
No, and we still like to offer the non-musicals because there are people who act but don't sing or dance. So we do like to offer that.
Is it tough when you have, now obviously you would know this because you've been associated with the theater for a long time, to find the talent that can do all those things? You've got we've a lot of talent here.
It's so funny because we also have Cornstalk Theater and Eastlight Theater in the area.
Right.
And there was one time about 3 years ago, we don't overlap so much with Eastlight or Cornstalk. Their main seasons run in the summer and then
Right.
ours run September through May.
Sure.
But we have a youth theater, and I can't remember which shows all of us were doing, but we all three had auditions within like a month of each other, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's gonna be hard to cast. Every show had a huge cast, so
Really?
it tells you there's a lot of talent, a lot of interest in theater. So yeah, it was really neat.
So you don't feel like you don't grind your teeth when Cornstalk announces their thing?
No. Yeah, no, we work really well together.
And of course you get to know the folks because people will rotate through different shows, won't they?
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't have somebody exclusively Players. They might do something Cornstalk Players, Eastlight, or whatever.
Yeah, they do all of them. Yeah. Yep.
And that's sort of great because I don't know this, you might be a better judge than this, but Peoria, for a city its size, for the area, we're pretty well stocked or staffed with community theater.
Yes, we are. Yeah, a lot of people come to town.
100 years says a lot right there.
That's
Peoria
right.
Players celebrated 100
right.
years last year. Is it tough coming down from the 100th birthday anniversary?
Actually, no. I mean, I think we're still on a high, and we've been on a really good path, though, at least for the past 10 years or so. We've got a great season ahead. We like to blend the family musicals, which appeal to all ages, along with the new shows that are brand new. There are shows that we can always do that people will always love, The Sound of Music, The Wizard of Oz, those type of shows. But then we're doing, like Kinky Boots, Matilda, they're brand new. So we like to offer that, to the patrons who haven't seen it over and over.
How far in advance do you plan out these shows? Because
We're planning right now for the 102nd.
for the next year.
We've got a really good lineup so
Even though
far.
you're just rolling out this year,
We are.
101st, here comes 102nd.
Yep.
And that's because sometimes you can't get, because you were saying King and I was one of the ones that was requested for last year.
Yep.
The Peoria Players
It's our
survey.
top vote getter.
Top vote. You put out a survey and said, okay, what shows do you want? This is our 100th anniversary. We're going to put them. But King and I won, but you couldn't get it because it was what, on
On
tour?
tour, yeah.
Okay.
So we went with the second choice of Chorus Line and the third choice of Wizard of Oz. So we did both of those last year.
So as you look at now a year out, are you aware of what shows are on tour? Or, I mean, how do you start that whole process of what do we watch? Or what do we get?
Well, we have people submit potential directors of what they'd like to direct.
Oh, okay.
And if it's a good fit for our theater, then we seek out the rights. I talk to the royalty houses. Sometimes the tour does hinder us for what we can get. Other times, we just have to wait till it comes through our area, and then we are allowed to do it.
So the directors, past directors, or wannabe directors, whoever, they might say, I really been wanting to do this particular show. And they bring that to your group, and you guys discuss it or kick it around and see. Looking back on the past, and I know you've been there a number of years, and being in the business office, you probably know it. What show has surprised you in terms of doing well, and then conversely, not doing well?
You know what? I don't know that I have an answer for that. I mean, we always think, oh, this is going to sell really well. And most of the time it does. You know if you're going to do a Wizard of Oz, it's always going to sell.
Well, right.
Other shows, I don't know that there's really been any that have surprised us that haven't done well. Every so often we'll have a non-musical that will sell really well, because musicals typically sell better than non. The one that always comes to mind is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was a fantastic production. You never know with a non-musical, but it's sold out, and it was a great production. Yeah.
And when was that? That
2009.
I was going to say, I'm familiar with that. I just couldn't remember the year.
And a lot of times the movie title helps sell tickets too.
Yeah. And that was an interesting movie. It's been a while since I've seen that one.
Yeah.
But yeah. So when you look back on some of the shows that the Peoria Players, and we're talking with Nicki here at the Peoria Players box office, because now's the time, we should probably throw that out. People want to see the lineup of shows. You ran them down, but if they want to take another look at it, where should they go?
PeoriaPlayers.org. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so they can find us everywhere. All those links will be on our website, PeoriaPlayers.org.
You just Google Peoria Players, you'll find all kinds of things.
Yep.
And what's your phone number at the box office?
688-4473.
Okay. Because this is the time that people are making arrangements, wanting to find out what shows you have.
Yeah.
And you were telling me before we came on here, you've got a fairly large number of season ticket holders.
We do. We have close to 1,000.
Wow.
So, and it's built up over the years as well.
And that's always good, because that base group, whether if they can't make it to a show, they'll give those tickets to someone else, and they'll be there.
It's a guaranteed,
Yeah.
audience.
Let's face it, you need that in this day and age with all the
do.
distractions. When you look at these shows that go on, whether it's Cornstalk, Peoria Players, Eastlight, and the various schools that do them, and Bradley's got shows.
Yep.
We could run, and I think Amy Blaine, who does ExplorePeoria.com, I know when I see her website, there's all these different shows. I'm amazed at, I didn't know they were doing shows. When you look at the totality of this area, it's amazing if people ever say there's nothing to do. It's almost like, well, you apparently aren't paying attention because there's more than enough to do, and you can't even make it to all the things you might want to go to.
Right.
What do you find is the challenge now in the internet age for Peoria Players? Is it getting people out of the house? Are they still willing to come, or is it getting the message out?
Because sometimes for us, people are so last minute anymore. They're so busy, and they, like you said, they have so much to choose from that there are some shows we think, oh my gosh, is it going to sell? Is it going to sell? And then the final week it sells out. Know, so
you don't know until the last minute.
Exactly. Yep.
And I guess that's true. We are a convenience culture. We wouldn't be talking about every restaurant having to deliver food if we weren't that way. I'm always amazed at that. We're going to have to do a podcast on it sometime, because I'm thinking, what was so hard about going down there and picking it up? But now apparently, maybe it's a big city phenomenon. But no, people want convenience, and if you don't provide convenience, they go where they can get it.
Right.
And that's always the challenge, I guess. But with Peoria Players, long-standing, what about the theater? Is that something that is it tough keeping that up? Is it always in need of maintenance? Or
yes, in fact, we completely remodeled our front lobby and inner lobby, box office this summer. We got all new theater seats last year with the help of a generous donor, and we, a couple years ago, we refinished our stage.
So if somebody hasn't come to a Peoria Players production in a couple of years, they need to come.
They need to, yes,
and see the changes.
Yes, and enjoy from a comfortable theater seat.
Oh, very good.
And then downstairs backstage, our makeup chair, Steve Hausler, who's directing Tarzan, he redid the makeup room. So, it's a lot of help from our volunteers and board members.
Right. You were telling me the average, and obviously it changes probably with each show, because depending on music or what the demands are for a show, but we're talking about a large number of people in every production. What's the average you were saying?
At least 50. If you're talking a big musical, you've got the cast, you've got the backstage workers, you've got the orchestra. So
that's 50 people that come to rehearsal.
Yep.
How many times before the show goes on?
At least 4 weeks.
Wow.
4 to
So they're
6
giving
weeks.
up a lot of their time.
They are, and weeknights. You know, that last week they come pretty much every night. You know, for instance, this weekend is Tech Weekend for Tarzan, so they're going to be there all day Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
What's Tech Weekend? Is that when
That's-
you turn on the knobs and
Pretty much,
push
yep,
the sound goes out?
Yep, they do the light cues and the orchestra's there. So
Oh.
it's an exciting time. It's a stressful time for a director. You know, they always say, "Oh, I'm never going to get this done," and then it's beautiful.
Is that what you tell them? You know, and then when they come back, we're pulling
Yeah,
their
like,
hair
don't
out.
worry.
Ah, don't worry about it.
You'll be fine.
I've seen this for 28 years. It's okay. It's all right. You yourself started, because you mentioned your mom was involved with the theater. So you were a little girl.
I
And
was.
you were taking, what was your first role? Do you remember?
Actually, my very first show was The King and I at Cornstalk. I was
King
5
and I
years
at
old.
Cornstalk.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And then I was in The Wizard of Oz at Peoria Players in 1981.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
and then just school stuff throughout
Oh wow.
the rest of the years.
So when Wizard of Oz was played last year, were you out there in the audience singing the songs with it?
I was. It's very special to me.
You remember it when? Oh, that's great. But that's got to be a great sort of history for you or memory for you because, you know, I'm sure that the people, you run into them all the time. Oh, you know, when I was a teenager, I was here, and, you know, they went away, maybe they got moved or married or whatever, but they have that memory of being in
Yeah.
Cornstalk or Peoria Players or
It's a
whatever.
very special time for them. Yeah.
And they got pictures from in the cast and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
Yep.
Well, I think that's kind of what you know. What about with young people? Where do you somebody who shows an interest, or you know, how do you channel that towards, say, the theater? I mean, should they come out to an audition? What if they're
Yeah, I
a
mean,
little reticent about that? How,
We
what do
always
you?
encourage people to audition. If nothing else, it's a good experience. But also, Community Children's Theater, they also they have shows twice a year, and they use our theater actually. So
And that's a separate.
it's a separate,
group.
separate
Community Children's
entity,
Theater.
but we work a lot together. So they have their own board and everything, and they also have acting classes. A lot of times when I have a mother,
So that's a good place to kind of focus on
Yeah.
Community Children's Theater.
yeah, I'll have people come and say, you know, my daughter or son wants to get involved. What do I do? And I'll give them CCT's number.
Oh,
So
well, that's good. And then you have their own website and all
they
that
do.
stuff.
Yep.
Well, that's great because I'm thinking every grandparent or parent out there probably knows somebody that, well, if they don't want to act or dance or whatever it is, that's fine, but at least they can release some of that energy in
Right,
an
right,
outlet
sure.
that might be productive. And plus, you never know, I guess, until you get in front of that group. You know, if some people light up, probably others maybe decide, well, I want to do this something else.
You're right.
Yeah. Did you want to be an actress?
No,
Never?
no, I
No,
just
you-
did it for fun.
Just for fun?
I was going to be a veterinarian, so
A veterinarian?
so I run a
ah.
community theater. There you go.
Well, now there's a field, a veterinarian. You see in there. My goodness, I mean that's you know, you'll never go wanting with everyone with their animals and all
yeah,
that.
that's right.
Speaking of which, do you ever have a need for animals in the shows? Mm-hmm. So how do you work that in? Because that's a training
You know,
issue.
we
isn't
did the
it?
Will Rogers Follies back in 1997. Pat
Mm-hmm.
and Bruce White directed it, and they got a dog act from Ohio that came in, and they did. Oh my gosh, these dogs were amazing.
Tricks and-
Yeah, backflip. They stay on their hind legs, do a backflip. They'd walk with another dog on their shoulder. I mean, it was just unbelievable what these dogs could do. And for 2 weeks during the run of the show, we had their trailer parked out and back by our loading dock, and they lived there. And they were
Wow.
24/7.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I wondered about that because, you know, we take it for granted in a film where there's I just saw the Somewhere in Hollywood, no, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino movie, which I don't particularly like, but I mean, we're going to start that up here. People on Facebook liked it, so I apparently am off the. But there was a dog in there, a pit bull, Brad Pitt's pit bull, which was great. I mean, he was marvelous. Best part of the movie for me. Maybe the little girl was too. But anyway, you forget somebody has to train that dog.
Yeah.
And you know, because he's looking so pathetic, and then you know he does everything at his command. Well, Brad Pitt didn't train him. You know,
Right.
Somebody did in a lifetime. But we take that for granted with these animals. But obviously, it depends on the show.
Yeah,
if
I
you
mean,
need
last
an
year we did
animal.
Wizard of Oz, and we had
Well, how
one
about
of.
Tarzan? You got to have a monkey in there somewhere.
We don't. Does Tarzan count?
Well, yeah, but I'm
grew
thinking
up with the
I'm thinking
monkeys.
of Cheetah. You know, I'm
That's
going
true.
back to the old Tarzan movies with
Yeah,
Johnny
unfortunately, we don't have any
Weissmuller.
real animals in this one, but we
Okay.
have.
Well,
we have before.
we'll go with the sound effects. That'll
Sure,
work.
that works.
But Tarzan undoubtedly will be, you know, a great way to kick off
Yeah.
the season because it's fairly recent. I mean, when was that? It was 10, 15 years ago. It was in the theaters.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And Phil Collins' music is pretty timeless.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about it. He's on tour again. So do you know Phil Collins was, this is a side, we do a lot of off-topic comments here. Phil Collins was in the audience when they filmed Hard Day's Night. The
Really?
Beatles. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Among all these screaming girls, somewhere there's Phil Collins, young 14, whatever he was at the time, screaming at the Beatles. I don't think he was screaming, but the girls around him were. But Phil Collins, that's been, brought out, I guess, in some shows. So what is going to be your main sort of focus in this week and the next week? Is it just manning the phones, or are you making the
tickets.
rounds, telling people about the show?
Yeah, we got a bunch of promos lined up for the director, interviews, TV and radio interviews,
Right.
and getting everything ready as far as the program's concerned. And
Let's mention who is the director again.
Steve Hausler.
Steve House. And now, what is his experience with players or with your
He has
shows?
been involved. He's assistant directed many shows. He's been in a lot of shows. He directed Clue the musical in Eureka, but this is his first directing gig at Peoria Players.
Oh,
we're
so
very
that's got to be
excited.
exciting for him.
Yes, yeah, he's so
Yeah.
thrilled.
Thrilled is probably a word he'd say. Oh, well, thrilled and maybe
No, he's thrilled.
overwhelmed.
Trust me.
Not overwhelmed. Okay. And what about the main players?
We've got Miles McGill as Tarzan and Paula Van Kuren as Jane. And we've got a lot of new people in this show. I mean, Miles himself is fairly new to Peoria Players. Paula's done a couple shows with us. But we have a good mixture, which I love. We, like you were saying, we have a lot of veterans that do all of our shows, or a lot of our shows, and then we always have new people.
That's always great.
I love that, yeah.
I always, when I go to one of these shows and you're just sort of watching it all happen, and I'm always impressed with the fact that somebody's doing the lighting here.
Yeah,
They have that handled. Kids are running out in groups. I mean, obviously depending on the show, but it's just the amount of sort of practice and organization on any show is probably just amazing.
Oh, it is.
And you used to it because you've seen them. You're telling them, "Oh, don't worry about it. It'll all happen." But I sometimes think, how do you ever get this thing done? Because you got all these people coming together, and
I mean, Steve's got a really good crew. He's got experienced production staff, and so he's
And there's something to be said for when you're doing a show, do you enjoy the work you're doing?
absolutely.
Because I mean, this is for entertainment. I mean, this isn't like you're being like homework. You're forced to do 2 hours of physics or something. No, this is a nice, relaxing evening out, and give us the times for Tarzan again, because somebody might say, "Oh yeah, I might want to see that," but they don't know when it's going to run.
7:30 p.m. on September 6th, 7th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th, and then at 2 o'clock on the 8th and the 15th.
Okay.
We take a little break there in between weekends.
Okay. Well, that's always good. And that's a tradition for the players.
Yep.
You're doing that a little bit.
Yep.
And tell us where the Peoria Players Theatre is, because there's always somebody who's thinking, is it the one in
It's
the
funny,
park? No, that's
Because
not it.
when we sell tickets, I'll say, "Oh, it's up on the corner of Lake and University with a marquee." "Oh, I go by there every day." They don't realize that's us. So yeah, we're in Lakeview Park there.
Right. And that's a great location.
It
At
is.
one time that was well, you might not remember this, but I do, because I've been around a long time, and that one time would have been kind of on the north end of town. Well, now it's right in the middle.
It is
know,
centrally
and-
located.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's always good.
At one time, years ago, we had talked about going down to the riverfront where everything was booming at the time. And we thought, why? We've got great parking here. We've got a great location. People don't have to walk far from their cars. So,
Well, of course, now, with the Scottish Rite Cathedral being,
Yes.
I should say Scottish Rite Theatre, because
Yes.
that's the new name for it. That's going to provide you 900 seats in the downtown. I don't know how that's working out. I'm not privy to that. But I know, just talking to Jenny Parkhurst, who of course you know her very well, that's going to be a new venue for the area.
right.
Yeah, or
Right.
maybe one that the players will take part in or
Yeah,
something. Who
yeah,
knows?
that'd be fun.
Well, we can use all the theaters we can get here, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Well, I see we've been talking with Nicki Haschke, and we're about out of time, Nicki. This
right.
goes fast. This is like Tarzan. Boom, it's gone. One minute he's there, the next minute he swings away. But if folks want to get to Peoria Players, to go to the website,
Yep, PeoriaPlayers.org.
.org, and see the whole 6 shows that are coming up.
Season tickets are on sale now for $100. 6 shows.
Oh, that's
It's a
you
really
can't
good
beat that.
deal. Nope.
Oh, well. Nicki, thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, we'll see you next time on Tarter Sauce.
PeoriaLife.com